The nurse couldn't meet my gaze when she stepped out of the emergency room. She didn't have to. I already understood. Her gloves, damp and tinged with pale pink, bore traces of blood washed down by water. Not much, but enough to say everything. My wife was lying inside. Our unborn twins weren't. She murmured something. I don't remember what. Only the rhythm of a monitor beeping, the sterile chill in the air, and the hollow weight of a world that had suddenly gone quiet. Then the sheriff arrived, hat in hand, his expression practiced like a man delivering news he'd rehearsed too many times. "There's been an accident," he began, as if I hadn't seen the mangled heap that used to be her car. The driver, Derek Hall. That name sparked like static in my mind. Son of Senator Hall. The sheriff stared down at his boots like they might offer absolution. The message was clear. Best to let this go. The Hall family runs this county. Owns it. Through the hospital window, I looked in. My wife's hand lay still against the white sheets, drained of color and warmth. 8 months pregnant. 2 heartbeats silenced. And I, Sergeant Major Ghost Carter, was told to forget. For over 2 decades, I hunted war criminals. I'd seen how monsters hid behind power, behind titles, behind God. But nothing trains you for evil when it wears a local badge and smiles through a press conference. Derek had forced her off the road while drunk, laughing, filming himself for social media just before the crash. I saw that clip. It vanished within an hour, replaced by a sanitized press release calling it a tragic incident. Later, the sheriff came back around with a rehearsed apology. Said the boy was shaken. Said he'd suffered enough. I saw his mouth move. But my mind was elsewhere, counting seconds, studying angles, measuring silence. Not planning revenge. Not yet. Just truth. Because truth is the first weapon. That night, I sat beside her in that sterile room. Machines hummed like borrowed heartbeats. She didn't wake. But I spoke anyway. They won't bury you beneath their lies. 3 days later, I started asking questions. No weapons. No threats. Just quiet, purposeful inquiries to the right people. A bartender who remembered Derek stumbling from a club that night. A nurse who noticed the toxicology report had been altered. A hotel clerk who swore Derek wasn't alone. I didn't pay a soul. I didn't intimidate anyone. I didn't have to. They remembered who I was, the ghost. Piece by piece, the truth took shape. Clean. Methodical. The senator had covered worse before. But this time it was messy. Derek wasn't sober. And someone inside the sheriff's department had made sure that detail disappeared. By the week's end, I had it all. Footage of the crash. The original blood results. A signed confession from the girl who was with him. But I waited. Because anger is useless without patience. When you've spent years surviving the silence between firefights, you learn. The real battle isn't ending a man. It's watching him self-destruct. I met Senator Hall at a fundraising gala. I wore full dress uniform. He offered a polished handshake. Sergeant Major Carter. A pleasure. I returned the smile. The pleasure's mine, Senator. I think we have some unfinished business. He didn't catch the tone until I slipped a small, silver USB drive into his palm. It's all there, I said. The video. The fake report. The blood work. And the girl. His smile cracked. Behind him, cameras flashed. Champagne fizzed. The crowd laughed. But his eyes panicked. He knew I wasn't bluffing. Men like me don't bluff. By sunrise, the story exploded across every news outlet. Derek Hall, arrested. The sheriff, suspended. Senator Hall, stepping down for personal reasons. They called it a scandal. It wasn't. It was justice. Unarmed but unforgiving. Later that night, I visited her grave. The town lay quiet. In the distance, the hospital's glow flickered like dying stars. I placed a folded newspaper on her headstone. Front page. Senator's son charged with manslaughter. I whispered, they'll never cover you with lies again. People think justice feels like triumph. It doesn't. It feels like quiet, like the hush after a storm has burned itself out. I sat in my truck for hours, watching wind drift through the cemetery gates. I thought about the sheriff, the senator, their golden boy, how they built an empire on immunity and fear, and how simple it was to bring it all down with proof. My wife once told me I was too calm for this world. She thought it was a flaw. Now it's the only reason I'm still breathing. When I finally turned the key in the ignition, the radio came to life. Another scandal. Another man falling. The world doesn't end with gunfire. It ends with someone realizing the ghost never leaves. Justice wasn't vengeance. It was truth, enduring, quiet, undefeated.